So I'll start off by saying that this is my first time talking about this project as someone who is going to be increasingly involved in it. So I mentioned that my work is on coordination systems. This is the AI side of things. I run a team that's basically structured as a special projects team, like 14 people and 8 projects. And one of those projects is important enough that I am going to be leaving my current team to support this effort. And it is a controllable AI solution direction. And if you have heard of the open agency architecture, then a bit of this will be review. If you have not, then this should be an interesting, potentially new direction for mitigating the acute risk period from general intelligence. So the focus is controllable AI, and all of you probably recognize at least this image. Dolly gave me King Midas eating an apple, it turned to gold. And you know that if you specify that you care about something for a machine learning model, that everything you didn't specify, it assumes reasonably that you didn't in fact care about it. And as a result, specifying the complete state of all of these things is the challenge of law. It is the challenge of contracts. We don't have a good way to succinctly state every single possible outcome for every possible future path or world state, or like any metric over possible future directions. And as a result, we run into like philosophical and ethical problems when we're trying to solve these computer science problems. And the claim is that maybe controllability would be easier. Maybe instead of having to fix your wish, you could modify the constraint to make sure that there are bounds on what the systems that you are empowering do. And at least for the foreseeable future, you can have systems that are very powerful operate in a more controllable way. I would say that existing directions are expected to develop AGI capabilities, and alignment isn't really guaranteed. And this is a proposed direction conceived of jointly by Davidad and Eric Drexler. I'll share these slides, and I have links to like other writings on this that are more in depth that you can go into technically, but this will be more of like my perspective, the ways you can. In this potential direction, capabilities are not guaranteed, but if the capabilities are possible, then alignment is strongly expected. And so it's, as I said, a very different way to think about going about this. The way that this is constructed, my cartoon drawing is very simple. The idea is you have a bunch of participants that interact with some large language model to generate a specification of what outcomes are good and what outcomes should not happen. You can think of this, for example, in the cybersecurity space as being like a formal specification of the behavior of the software. But for more important and more generalized systems, we would have to answer a lot of real difficult open problems around how you would specify states of the broader physical world around us. Very challenging. There are assumptions being made, but it feels at this point like there's enough progress being made that this is possible. You use this spec to prompt and also control and gate the output of a reinforcement learning system that will give you a policy that you can mathematically prove meets your specification, or at least that's the intent. That policy is not guaranteed to necessarily be something that you want, and so the participants would then go and review it, and you can iterate this until you end up with some policy that is better than what humans could come up with, but still something where you have certain guarantees of properties. You don't have to know that every aspect of something is optimized in order for you to have confidence that it is in fact safe. There are more complex versions of this diagram. And those are in like both that one and this one, which is getting closer to realistic, can both be found in blog posts that are linked from this. But the important thing to note is that I am not equipped to argue whether or not this is plausible. That is not my role in this. I have a PhD in experimental physics, and I don't want to be the physicist who comes in and tells people how to do things. I have been working for a while with Davidot on this, and I can say that he is one of the best problem solvers. I would say he's one of the he's definitely in the top 5, probably in the top 3 problem solvers I've ever worked with, ever like talked to for more than an hour, and that's including 6 years at Caltech. You should take your questions about this to Davidot. Or you can post them on a less wrong post that is Davidot's bold plan for alignment. He will engage with you there, and it would be great to have any concerns or questions raised. I am here to specifically answer the question, if this can be built, then what else needs to be done? Because just building this alone isn't enough to make sure that humanity is protected from misaligned AI. And so my answer to this is we should build AI-based tools that are useful, that could be like the best product that any AI company has, that collaboratively build, like that helps companies and projects and entities and research labs all collaboratively work together to implement systems like this for, is that my timer? Or is that?
No, not my timer.
Carbon monoxide sensor? To address AI-enhanced risks. So that, in practice, looks like taking this simple diagram and saying, where do I make it easy and like make it, I guess, not just easy or de-risked, but something that people really feel comfortable and excited about plugging themselves into. I am going to build probably none of this myself. I am going to spend all of my time making it very easy and very rewarding for other people to build all of these components. That is what I've been doing at Protocol Labs for the last 6 years, and that is what I plan to continue doing as part of this new entity. My last slide, thank you. So this is my last slide, and it actually includes my answer to what I would challenge of you. I think that you can say, like, there are certain domains, like cyber risks, bio risks, all the way to like financial risks, where like that QR code or that like piece of statistical noise that looks like that gets recognized as an elephant with 100% certainty. Like there will be trading patterns that look like nothing to humans, but are like sell with 100% certainty. So like each of these domains comes with a risk. There is some defense that you can probably accelerate with AI to make more of these domains more robust against risks. And the question becomes, who are the participants who define what these things should be, what specification language should be created or should be used, and what the reinforcement learning model would be in order to generate this. I think that I would challenge everyone to either like try and fill in the blanks, find some of these dark red ones and say, like, you're thinking about this wrong, this should be this. I think the red ones are the things that I'm like I think should be pretty cuspy and should be things that we're starting on now. And if you see anything that you're doing as like, this should absolutely be in here. Like, for example, societal defense for sense-making tools. I see Society Library and Talk to a City being like key parts in that. And so hopefully you see potential work in this and talk to me about where you fit and more questions.
That is a long, long question for me to write down.
Fill in the blanks.
Fill in the
who, what, and how. I think, yeah.
Okay, feel free to take a question also.
Quick question, just the way you're describing this approach to alignment, I think my mind was tripping a little bit on your use of the word control, because then I'm thinking you're talking about control mechanisms, but maybe you just mean constraint?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that you are basically constraining the output of this arbitrarily powerful reinforcement learning system to output things that match the spec that you're generating. And the idea of the LLM generating the spec is that people shouldn't have to be able to write, like normal participants shouldn't have to be able to generate the spec or work with it. Formal verification is hard, but maybe we could have LLMs that let participants generate formal specs. And then for cyber risk, the RL agent would generate patches automatically to patch the software to meet the spec.
Well, you have time to take one more question while I'm going to get up the next slides.
A policy risk. So I'm currently reading the Robert Moses biography, and it is incredible how pure knowledge of basically all of the laws allows you to generate insane exploits, like clear violations of property rights by invoking weird loophole eminent domain policies from weird definitions. There should be, I would expect that in the same way you could have an LLM generate possible 0 days and exploits for them when the context window gets big enough. You could probably also say find all the tax loopholes, find out how I can get away with murder, literally, in this country. And the number of, I think the attack surface for that ends up landing heavily on courts and on public defenders and prosecutors, and building AI-powered tools that make the laws behave in ways that we think they should is something that is easier than the AI alignment problem, but also something that is very challenging and very worth doing before we start having AI-powered attacks on our legal system.
All right, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.